he is a student, right? He studies everything. He studies human nature, psychology, and I mean from observing, right? And asking questions and learning from all different kinds of people all over the world. And you seem very much that way. You know, you're constantly learning, you're observing body language, you want to know the whys of things. And I find in art, it tells a story which directly relates to wrestling.
Yes.
And I'm curious your perspective on that. And do you think that there's a natural bridge there, you know, that maybe one drew you to the other?
I can't say there's definitely a bridge that, you know, that lends itself to me crossing over, but I can definitely see the parallels, you know. Just like I said earlier, I would be drawing as a child and it would go one way and then I would get frustrated and, you know, rip it up. And then I learned that, like, you have to pivot. Same thing here. Like, you know, like people get injured, people don't make it, you know, things happen and you have to pivot too. The story has to change. So I think I see the parallels. I see the beauty in the mistakes. You know, plans that we didn't have leading up to Mania, all of a sudden we have them now. You know, it's the same thing in art, the exact same thing. So there's a lot of parallels.
Can you be a perfectionist in WWE?
You can, but I don't think that's going to work. I just don't. I don't think
You'll be very frustrated.
You will be very frustrated, and I think I learned that lesson quickly. There was here in NXT when I was in developmental, I would come up with these matches and come up with these elaborate finishes and stuff like that. And Shawn would always change it. Shawn Michaels would always change the finish. And I'm just like, and it used to like, you know, eat at me at first. But I'm like,
why?
He knows where we're going.
Right.
After this. I don't know where we're going after this. So you kind of have to just like lend yourself as a tool to make the art come to life and be okay with where it goes.
And you're putting a lot of trust in him, I guess, right?
Yeah, but that's reassuring trust. He's Shawn Michaels. You know, if there's anyone who's going to tell me what to do, please.
Let it be Shawn.
It's him. Yes. But like, you know, you have to square with that in yourself, you know, in your own mind and be like, I'm willing and able to take this where it needs to or has to go.
Were there other lessons there in addition to knowing where you were going, right, which is something you didn't necessarily know or were privy to? But was there a pattern that you noticed that you kept trying to do, that you kept running into the same wall? Like, was there one particular thing? Were you trying to be too elaborate? Was there something that you found yourself doing that just didn't work?
No, I can't say I like tried the same thing over and over. I mean, like I'm one of those people who like, okay, depending on the situation, I know which route to take. Whether that's the best route or not, I don't know. But it's my route, right? And at the end of the day, I'm like, okay, whatever I have in mind, I have to put that to the side. This is what Shawn wants, to give him what he wants. And I will give him what he wants. So I learned quickly, you know, that's part of being like a student of the game, you know.
Right.
Like sometimes I would ask him what he's looking for and then go draft something. And then he still doesn't like it, and that's fine too.
Yep.
But at least like that's part of the learning process, you know, like seeing where his mind is at, you know, what direction he's trying to go and, you know, learning from him. Because I don't know how to book wrestling. I'm not a booker, but like it's an important skill to learn, I feel. I feel like a lot of guys, they're just like, you know, make me champion, you know, do this for me, do that for me. But they don't even understand like the patterns and the way in which, you know, the booking works.
The why.
The why. So I just lent myself to Shawn and I let him take me where I needed to be.
What is the importance of the why, do you think, in life in general?
Importance of why?
I think learning the why.
I think the why makes us, you know, look further, look into the past, look into the future. The why is definitely important. Sometimes you have to just not answer the question. Sometimes you should be okay with because. And that's the hardest thing. Why? Because I said so. That's actually something
I learned that growing up.
That's something my dad actually taught me. He didn't like to explain himself. He wasn't he wasn't the best communicator on the planet. So So a lot of things like, Daddy, where are we going to? You shut up, my friend. We're going. Like, okay,
called you
I
his
guess
friend,
we're going.
Along
right?
for the ride.
And he made me okay with that. So like, because I have that respect for my dad, that's why when I came to NXT, I was able to see these coaches, like, you know, Matt Bloom and Sean, and even Ivar, who was like a coach for me, you know, for a while. I was able to see them as that, you know, authority figure that I have to listen to. And if they said something, I don't need to really know why, because it's fine for me sometimes.
So, what do you think? One day, do you hope to have kids?
Yes.
So, what do you think are some of the most important lessons you would want to teach them?
I mean, a lot of times I feel like people try to create this contrast of giving their children things that they didn't have. I'm going to try my best to simulate a lot of the things that I did have. I did have strict parents. I did have rules and guidelines. I had a regiment, and my children will have a regiment for sure. As far as things that I maybe didn't have, I would try to make my children understand that they are people too. Because I remember a lot of times when I was a kid, I'd have something going on in school, but I would never bring it to my parents because, like, to them, it was just like, you're in school, that's child's play, you're in
Right.
middle school, who cares? Like they treated it like it wasn't my life. But at that time, I'm 13.
That's all you know at that
Yeah.
time.
That's all I know.
Yeah,
You
that's
know,
your world.
I don't have the fashionable trousers that people wear to school. Like, it was important to me, you know, like,
Right.
and like I'm going to see it from that perspective. You know, when my children bring me things, I'm like, it might not be important to me, but it's their life.
It's
And
important to
It's
them.
important to them.
Yeah.
And if I have to stare them and make them understand that maybe it's not priority right now, sure. But as far as the level of importance to them, I will address it.
So you remember how it felt.
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
I do.
And again, not that your parents meant anything bad by it. It's just they
No.
were dealing with
So much more.
other real life stuff, right? And to them, yeah, your pants don't matter. But by the time you'll learn what really matters. But as a child, you remember how that felt. And that's so interesting because I've had moments like that too when I was growing up and I was told certain things and I was like, you know what? I understand where they're coming from, but I am not going to repeat that. I'm going to handle this particular situation differently. And I think that's very interesting, especially when you bring it from the child's perspective,
Yeah.
right? And I find life is all about perspective at different points in time. Even when you're talking about staying calm and thinking of it as practice, right? Like that's a perspective, and that's not a perspective everybody's able to have. But it's what helps you and what helps you stay calm in the moment and what will help guide you through your life, right? That's one of those key lessons because there's still so much life for you to experience and so much for you to do. So what do you want to do?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I want to wrestle.
Yes.
I want to be remembered in wrestling. I remember watching wrestling and feeling strongly about, you know, whether it was this superstar or this storyline. I was invested to a very high degree. And I want people to watch my work and feel the exact same way. I basically want to give people back the experience I got from watching wrestling. That's my big thing.
Yeah.
And that's one of the pros of being a fan coming into the sports. Like, you know what you want to give back.
Right.
And since, like, it's funny, but since day one that I walked into NXT, I knew that, okay, I want to sound real. I want to be real. I want to make people feel things. I want to give and then take it away. And, you know, like, I want them to go on that ride, you know, with me. That's what I want to do in wrestling. I mean, championships and conquest is going to come, you know, the ruler is the ruler. But I think that's my big takeaway. I think that's like when I'm done, I want people to feel Obafemi.
So I always quote Maya Angelou because and I butcher the quote a little bit, but people will never remember what you said. They'll never remember what you did. But they will always remember how you made them feel. And if you can make people feel, you know, that's the genuine connection. That is what people take away because they had some type of emotional reaction to the story you were telling or the character you were being or what you said, the one line, you know, whatever that is, because you made them feel something. And that's what's going to connect them to you.